What's going on, Honda Element gang? All right, I'm going to give you guys a quick rundown of what you need to do in order to change the rear struts on your Element. So this was, actually I thought it was going to be easier than the front, but it turned out to be a bigger pain in the butt. So I'll explain that in a second. I made an earlier video, you've probably seen it, about the front struts. Now I'm just going to give a quick rundown of how to do the rears. Okay, so over here, I got a headlamp on. Let me move my headlamp. Let me just hold it. It'll make things easier. So down there, you kind of see it right there, that guy. That shiny silver nut and bolt. That's the guy that was a pain in the behind. It was seized in place. I took it even to my friend's shop with a shop grade air tank and air tools, and he had real blow torches, not the little cheap ones you buy for 25 bucks, right? He heated it up, it was glowing, nothing. It was just rusted in there inside the lower strut mount. So I had to use a Sawzall. Unfortunately, I used one of these guys. I ate up about one blade per side, and then I also used a Bosch grinder I have. So basically what you need to do is, once you get that lower bolt removed, you go into the trunk, and over here you see the strut towers. There's going to be 2 bolts in there. Okay, so crack those top ones open. Don't release them all the way. Okay, leave the nuts on the threads, just crack them open. You're going to remove that, whether or not it comes out for you. Again, I live in the Rust Belt, so everything is 3 times as hard. So the lower strut bolt right there, the 2 14mm ones that are inside the cabin behind those plastic covers, you got to fold your seats up to access them. Okay, so you're going to remove that. On this side, there's an emissions, I don't know what it's called, evap canister. There's a 10mm bolt right there. Right there, that brown guy, right there. Okay, and there's another one behind it. Of course, my rear one broke, so I had to drill into the frame with a tiny bit and add a screw with a washer. Now, taking them out isn't super bad. Putting them in to try to line it up is, a little bit more of a challenge. So the big trick here, in order to get the lower bolt in, is you're gonna have to release this guy. I forget what this is called. Upper trailing arm, maybe? I don't know. But anyway, this big arm right here, this guy. It's gonna be a 17mm nut on the rear that's welded onto the arm, and this 17mm head bolt that goes in. Now you see all that red stuff there? I have a habit that I started doing a few years ago. Every time I take a bolt out, I always use a wire wheel, one of these guys, and I clean the threads every single time. Clean the threads, and then I've had this habit of applying some bearing grease to the threads. Water's not going to penetrate that, meaning it's not going to rust. And I've had great luck with it. I even threw some on here for good measure, just to prevent any further rust. But you know what? It's in the future, if you have to do any work on a previously tightened bolt or nut, you're going to thank yourself. It's going to make life that much easier. So in order to get that lower bolt in, you need to absolutely remove this, okay? And then get your wife or your partner or your friend to step on this. Now, put the lug nuts on. You always want to keep the threads safe. This is another good habit to have. Always thread them on a little bit, okay? Then you prevent any damage, whether you're swinging a hammer, you're walking by, you hit it with a jack handle, you mess up the thread. You don't want to get into that, right? So this is your little insurance policy, if you will. So again, remove this upper trailing arm. I believe that's what it's called. If it's not, you know what I'm talking about, okay? And that's going to release this whole thing down, okay? I'm going to show you the other side, what it looks like with it released. So you see how this is all apart? So I just got to tighten up that lower bolt, and this is the arm, right? So if you look inside, oh man, the iPhone camera sucks. But yeah, there you go. See all that silver threads? That's because I cleaned it, right? I used one of those wire brushes on like a handle, and I just worked my way in and out like that, and I rotated it as I went, just to kind of clean up all the threads. And as you see, it works well, right? So then I'm gonna dip my big bolt into some grease. And then once I'm ready to assemble it back together, everything just comes together very, very nicely. Now the trick here is you want to preload your suspension, okay? You don't want anything to be binding, and you don't want anything to be out of whack. Like with the fronts, if you don't jack up the lower suspension arm, then your camber is actually going to be positive. I actually did that with this car. I know better because I've done this job a million times, but I just wasn't thinking that day, right? So right here, what you're going to do is I wheeled my second jack around. So I'm going to place it under this arm, not the tubular one. I'm going to place it under this guy right here. So you're right underneath the braking components right there. I'm going to put it right above here. Okay. But make sure you don't jack up this dust shield. Okay. You don't want to mess up this guy right here. Okay. So you're going to jack it up on this arm right here, and then you're going to max it out. Okay. That way, it simulates that the car is sitting on the ground. So once you do that, then you tighten up your lower mount on your strut. I put ready struts in this because I didn't want to play around with, compressor tools and all that stuff, right? And then once you start jacking this up, then this bushing is actually going to get lined up here. And then that last little bit, you just push the brake rotor into the car, okay? And then you slowly put the nut in, okay? And then keep applying pressure onto the rotor and spin the fastener with your fingers until you can feel that it catches the threads, okay? So just take your time, make sure you catch a thread. Another thing you don't want to do is get a cross thread going, because then that just adds another headache and more time to your day. So just, take your time, do everything right, oil these things up, put some grease on it. Everyone has excuse me, everyone has their own strategies, but I'm just sharing what works for me, and it has worked for many years. So yeah, hopefully this video was helpful. So that's all you need to remove on the passenger side. Passenger rear is going to be the easiest, right? And of course you got these clips right here that hold the ABS sensor. So 1 bolt here, 2 up top, this guy right here, and that's it. And then you're ready to reinstall your strut. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it, guys. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video. All right, bye-bye.